Listen, there are books we read for entertainment. There are books we read for information. There are books we read just for fun. There are books we read just to spill and use time while we're waiting on something. There are all types of reasons that we read, right? But there are some books, you have to admit, that they get a little too real, and sometimes you got to put it down. Sometimes you're crying. Sometimes they make you laugh. Sometimes they make you mad. They make you sad. Sometimes they make you say, listen, if it was me, if it was me, it would be a different story. All right, the first book I have is The Bluest Eye. I did a video on this earlier this year, and by the thumbnail of the video, it's like an unpopular opinion type of video. You may think, oh, I'm going to bash the book or something like that. And no, I didn't quite enjoy the read. And part of it is because it's so real. Toni has a way of writing stories that you got to follow. Do you hear me? If you know what I'm talking about, if you read plenty of Toni Morrison, you have to follow what she's trying to say, and she goes so deep in each of her stories. But I did not like the parents in this book. I didn't like the things that the children were going through, because this book opens up following young daughters, and some of the experiences you can so relate, even though they're talking about a time that's a little bit earlier than the time we're in now. But you're talking about parents getting upset for reasons that are unreasonable, okay? For you going through woman issues as you get to that point, or making assumptions about what's happening outside, or when you're playing with other kids, or not paying attention to how you feel about yourself and how you view yourself. It was just a hard read, and it is too real. It's so real in this book. But I think Toni's work is considered modern classic, one of our Black classics, if you will. But they are must read. They're just hard to read, especially I tried to read Sula, and I stopped reading it last month because I said I have to pick this back up later, because the mother in the book burned her son alive. It was just like, I can't. But you know, it really gives you insight and perspective, that which you should already have for the most part. Okay, you should already have it, but it really goes there and gives you perspective of what some of our people have went through in childhood, or the dynamics of mother to daughter, and how that is perceived and played out, or how the father has treated the mom and the kids watching that, and then the effects that it has on the children itself. So this book gets too real. Now this book, you don't see it often, but I showed it from other people, but I showed it on some of my earlier videos, and that is Iyanla Vanzant. This book is called Interiors, A Black Woman's Healing in Progress. This is one of her earlier books. Let me see, when did she publish this? Let's see. She wrote this she published it in 1995. Yeah, 1995. This book, she spills the beans. It's really giving her life. She doesn't hold anything back. You're getting the ups and downs. You're getting how she was made unwanted advances by family members, and her aunt didn't believe her when it was like the uncle. It shows how she perceived herself. It shows the effects of her losing her, I believe it was her mom, her parents. She didn't have really active parents in her life. There was other people at some point raising her, the issues with the father. She just goes so deep, and it gets real. It gets real when you're like, oh man, how is she still standing? If you ever watch Iyanla or heard her speak, and just the power and the wisdom and the growth. I love that if you watch her over time, or if you've been watching her, if you know who she is in the Black community. But if you know who she is, she doesn't hold back on mistakes she may have made or decisions she may have made that may have been miscalculations. She doesn't hold back on what she got right in her life and or what happened with her life and her children, her daughter's passing. It's so much, and that alone should give you indication. And Maya Angelou used to talk about in her work too, that stand on who you are. I wanted to say stand on business, okay? I wanted to say stand on business, but stand on who you are and stand on the decisions you made, but don't stay in the past, right? Learn the lessons you need to learn, but still walk in that power. Walk with that confidence of who you are, because you update yourself, you evolve over time. You're still you, but you grow, or you should be growing each and every day. So don't let other people hold you to their limitations, and don't hold yourself to what you think your limitations are. So this is another must read. I will always suggest this. It is long. It is well over, it's close to 400. Yeah, it's a little over 400 pages, but it's such a good read. Another one I just finished last month is Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is my first book by her. I did a video on this, and this is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This book gets real, okay? She's basically giving her story, giving her biography to a writer or to a journalist who never wrote a biography, mind you. This will be her first one in the character in the book. But it will set her up for life, and all in all, we learn later in the book that Evelyn feels like she kind of owes her. This is her apology back to her, because the journalist's father had passed away from a car accident, and he got blamed for it. Like, he was driving drunk, but it wasn't him actually driving. He was placed in the driver's seat by one of Evelyn's husbands, former husbands. And so it goes so deep. She gets real on the decisions she make as a young teenage girl and why she makes them, putting herself out there and trying to find her way the best way she know how, the issues with her father and why she left her father without notice, to get away and to get some form of safety and in control of her life. And so this book, it gets real. It goes there. If you read it, you know. If you haven't, go pick it up. It's really good. Another book, this is the fourth one, and I'm almost done here, is Long Shot. And I actually read this last month as well. This is the Hoop series. I'm actually reading Hook Shot, so don't come back for that vlog, which should be up Sunday. By the time you see this, it won't be up yet, but it'll be up the weekend. You know what I'm saying. But this was good. It took me over 155 pages to get into it, but once I got into it, it's good. But it's for ladies and gentlemen, for men who read, anyone who reads, really. It will take you there. It may get you upset at some point, because it dives deep into domestic issues with relationships and how people are treated, or the feeling of, I feel like I have to stay with someone, or you're obligated to stay with someone, and being held at gunpoint and being forced to choose the gun or choose my COCK, okay? Stay with me, okay? It goes there, and unfortunately, fortunately, it is a great ending, a happy ending, but some people don't get those happy endings, and it almost didn't happen. And so it takes you through that journey of those who've been really in bad relationships or abused. And I do love how Kennedy Ryan in this book, she does highlight how it's not just simple as when other people say, oh, you should have just left, or you should have just did this, or I would have beat him up. And you're dealing with a character who is a bit smaller, who doesn't have as many resources as she would like, and it's just not as easy for her to just up and leave. So I love the nuances that Kennedy adds to the issues as it pertains to telling the victim or saying, you know, you should just did this, you should have just did that. She really highlights how just doing something isn't always the case for everybody, if that makes sense. All right, and the last one I'm going to show in this video, listen, if you want a part 2, if you want 5 more, let me know, the books that get too real. The last one is Razor Blade Tears, okay? S.A. Cosby, he is the best writer. He's my most favorite author this year, and he's a new to me author. I read All the Sinners Bleed. That's another good one, and I have 2 more of his books that I will be reading this month, and that is My Darkest Prayer and what's the other one? Black Talk Wasteland. I can't wait to read those, and I'm going to read all his work. He does have a new book coming out in June, so stay tuned for that. That's King of Ashes. But Razor Blade Tears, he doesn't hold any cut cards, okay? He's going to tell you like it is. I just love S.A. Cosby work. The 2 characters, Buddy Lee and Ike Randolph, listen, they felt like people I've seen before, but I felt like one of my uncles. Buddy Lee felt like somebody who lives down here in Alabama, okay, where I'm living now. And so they're going to have you laughing, but it goes through some issues. And again, dealing with their adult children who unfortunately, the 2 were murdered. Their children, so they're looking for revenge, but it goes through how they treated their children, how they viewed their children, because their children didn't necessarily make choices that they would have preferred at the time, as far as their identity and them both being men and married to each other. And so, but I love the dynamic of how he goes there with no cut cards, and he really gets real with the people they're looking for and the revenge they take. Okay, so those were my 5 books that got too real, that got so real. Let me know some of yours. What are some books? Do you agree with the books that I have that get really deep? If you read them, if you haven't, go check them out, okay? And yeah, and I appreciate you for watching this far. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, if you've been here, you know, always remember to keep rising.